I love how the media establishment and the Democratic establishment likes to pretend that Donald Trump is the end of democracy. Oh, heavens. All of the things he's doing with Bill Barr, but we'll get to that later today in a different segment. You want to know what the real threat to democracy is? Someone like Mike Bloomberg or even Tom Steyer, who are dumping obscene amounts of money in an attempt to buy the presidency. And guess what? It's working. Mike Bloomberg is now polling in the RCP average in third place, above Elizabeth Warren. I don't know how it'll play out. We'll see what happens on Super Tuesday. But he has spent $401 million. 100% of his campaign spending comes from him. Donald Trump spent $70 million of his own money, but that was only 20% of his total campaign spend. Bloomberg is literally lighting his own money on fire to take whatever he can. But that's not what you came here for. We'll come back to this and we'll talk about it. What you came here for is the rumor abound, thanks to Drudge report, that Mike Bloomberg is going to be bringing on Hillary Clinton, or at least considering bringing on Hillary Clinton as his running mate. I would like you to consider this scenario. Mike Bloomberg, now in third place in polling averages, polling in, I think in Florida, he's in number one. He's like polling above everyone else. Let's say he buys his way to the nomination. Let's say he does choose Hillary Clinton as his running mate. And then she gets in the White House and Bloomberg leaves. Bloomberg could put Hillary Clinton in the White House. Okay, he wouldn't leave. That's a ridiculous scenario. But think about it this way. Hillary Clinton might get in the White House if this is true, by him literally paying his way in. You probably saw Bloomberg ad on this video. So many of you probably did. Comment below if you did, because I get a lot of people telling me that they're seeing tons of Bloomberg ads. He is dumping money like crazy. This is one of the most corrupt and disgusting things I have ever seen. Let's read the story and see what's going on with Hillary Clinton. Now, I got to say, so far, this is Drudge report claiming sources have said Bloomberg is considering Hillary Clinton. But after this, I do want to talk about Bloomberg's stealing of a nomination process. Look, man, the DNC are cheaters, as far as I'm concerned. That's why I've been so sick and tired of it. I gave them a shot this cycle. I'm done. They cheat. They cheat and cheat. Bloomberg's apparently going to be in the next debate. They changed the rules. The candidates you want don't matter. They lie, cheat, and steal. Hillary Clinton has been smearing other Democrats. She is a nasty... What did Donald Trump say? You're a nasty woman. Let's read. Oh, man, the old bait and switch. Bloomberg pulling the old bait and switch. It's coming. Mike Bloomberg is considering making Hillary Clinton his running mate, a source close to his campaign has told Drudge Report. Polling found the Bloomberg-Clinton combination would be a formidable force to take on Trump in the race for the White House, the source said. Former New York City mayor and Democratic candidate Bloomberg is said to be considering even changing his official residence from New York to Colorado or Florida, where he also has homes, because the Electoral College makes it difficult for the president and vice president to reside in the same state. Under the 12th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which provides the procedure for electing the president and vice president, it states that the two people could not both inhabit the same state as the elector. So, look, if he really is considering changing his state, none of this is confirmed fact for the most part. If you trust Drudge, by all means, they're saying they have sources. I'll see it when I believe it. Okay? But listen, a lot of Trump supporters are laughing, saying that would be a great gift. You got to understand, man, money talks. Now, Donald Trump won, I believe, with like one of the lowest ad spends ever. I think Barack Obama spent like $1 billion. And Trump spent a total of, I believe, according to the New York Times, if 70 million was 20%, then what, like 350 million. So it was a really, really small amount of money relative to past elections. But I'll tell you what, Bloomberg's net worth is around $62 billion. Not only is he lighting everything up with insane ad buys, everyone on YouTube is probably laughing, not wondering why their ad revenue is way, way up. It's Bloomberg and Steyer. Now, Steyer, I believe, is out. Let's read a little bit more. And then it's worse than you can imagine, because Bloomberg has been buying more than just the presidency. He is pouring money. He is just dumping it out into congressional races, into DA races. He's propping up nonprofits. He is imposing his will through his wealth. That is something we as Americans should oppose. I've opposed that for a long time. It's one of the things I'll agree with the Young Turks about. get money out of politics. Now, how you do it, I don't entirely know for sure. Some people have pointed out, at least Bloomberg is spending his own money, sure. But I don't want to live in a country ruled by an oligarch who can buy fake influence because he has that much wealth. I want to see real ideas that strike at the heart of what this country needs to solve its problems, not a rich dude who thinks he's smarter than you. We're talking about Bloomberg, who said you shouldn't be allowed to drink large soda and put a tax on it to discourage it. Somebody who said we should literally tax the poor because they're too stupid to know what's good for them. And he's going to be paired up with warmonger Hillary Clinton. I hope you realize, now many of you may be laughing saying, haha, Bloomberg could never beat Trump. Oh man. I would say Trump could beat almost all of these Democrats. I'd say all of them, honestly. But can Trump beat someone dumping $10 billion into ads plastered literally everywhere? Honestly, don't know. Because it's not just that. Bloomberg is paying like double the field organizer's salary these other campaigns are. They can't compete. When he buys up all this ad space, the other campaigns can't compete because ads are sold on an auction system. So he goes to these big networks and says, how much do you normally charge, say, Democratic candidate for a commercial? 20 grand? I'll give you 30. Why? I can. Then all of a sudden, you get someone like Bernie Sanders, Tulsi, Andrew Yang, whoever your candidate might be, and they're going to say, how much for me to buy an ad spot? And they'll say 40 grand. Whoa, that's double the rate. I can't afford that. Yeah, well, Bloomberg bought them all up. And if you want to outbid him, you can outbid him. And that's how the market works. So we have a serious problem if someone like Bloomberg can be doing all of the things he's doing around the country, essentially buying politicians because they're all for sale. I've never been a fan of that. And I'm certainly not a fan of it now. And if you underestimate the power of cold, hard cash, you got another thing coming, man. Look, Trump supporters, hubris will be your downfall, just like Hillary Clinton's. You better be prepared for someone who's willing to liquidate that much money. I mean, he spent $400 million in the past, 4 months? That's insane. Daily Mail says, this comes as 2 new Democratic primary polls show Bloomberg in the lead in Florida, while Senator Bernie Sanders tops the field in Texas. Both Bloomberg and Sanders have teeny tiny leads over former Vice President Joe Biden, who took a beating in both Iowa and New Hampshire. The Florida poll shows Bloomberg with just 1 point, with a 1-point lead over Biden, with the ex-mayor receiving 27% support from Florida Democrats compared to Biden's 26% support. This is how democracy dies. Bloomberg is not a Democrat. He was a Republican mayor of New York, and then he ran as an independent, and he got the rules changed so he could run for a 3rd term. Yet they want to complain about Donald Trump. They claim Trump won't leave. They claim Trump will change the rules. Bloomberg's already done it. He's a guy with no real political ideology. He said overt racist things, and they are rallying behind him. This is an oligarch manipulating the press and marketing to gain power, and he now might bring on Clinton? Congratulations, America. Democracy dies when he does this, and he's doing it now. He cannot be allowed to win. I would honestly say I would rather see Bernie Sanders win with a real grassroots movement and the opposition all the same than someone like Bloomberg manipulating the game to win and bring on someone like Hillary Clinton along with him. They say Bloomberg's edge comes from having about a 10-point lead over Biden among white survey respondents. The former mayor gets the support of 28% of white Floridians versus the 18.5% who selected Biden as their first choice for the Democratic nominee. Former First Lady Clinton previously said she faced calls to run for president in 2020 after she lost to Trump in the 2016 election, but she has repeatedly said she won't join the race. However, she stopped short of denying she was considering running for vice president alongside one of the Democratic candidates earlier this month. I never say never because I do believe in serving my country, but it's not going to happen. In January, Donald Trump made the strange claim that Clinton had promised Bloomberg the job of Secretary of State should she be elected president in 2016 to keep him from running 4 years ago. He had a deal with Hillary Clinton that he was going to become Secretary of State. It was very simple. People knew that. Trump said during an interview on CNBC filmed on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The president then suggested Bloomberg would have been double-crossed. Wasn't going to happen. It was going to go to Terry McAuliffe, Trump said, name-dropping the former governor of Virginia, who has been a close Clinton friend. I mean, so they were playing with Michael, Trump alleged. And it's too bad, but he's spending a fortune. Now, Trump's got a lot of power behind him. He's got a very powerful base Bloomberg does not have. But what Bloomberg does have is a media apparatus that will lie, cheat, and steal and do whatever they need to get those sweet money bucks. Now think about it. The media pushes the orange man bad narrative. Why? It gets traffic. It makes them money. And you know why they're also going to love Michael Bloomberg? For one, the establishment hates Bernie Sanders, and they're terrified of him. I mean, James Carville literally going on TV over and over again, freaking out. I kid you not, he said it's the end of days. That's how insane they're going over Sanders. But Michael Bloomberg is also dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into the media machine. Now, I know it. And I've joked about it before, saying, give me some of that sweet Steyer and Bloomberg Skrilla, pour it straight into my Google ad revenue. Nah, I will gladly push that all aside and say no to this absurdity. But you know what? The sad reality is that Americans have always elected millionaires. It's always been about the rich people who can afford it. To an extent, it's actually fine. I'll say this. Listen, we have a system where, for the most part, you've got to earn the ability to get attention, to spread your ideas. And if you're some dumb Joe Schmo, you can't do it. I mean, Ocasio-Cortez was a bartender. I can respect humble beginnings, but she's also kind of dumb. And I'm not saying that in a pejorative, emotionally, targeted sense. I'm saying literally, she doesn't understand what she's talking about in many circumstances. So dumb, she's ignorant. I'll put it that way. Like when she thought a $3 billion tax break was literally giving someone $3 billion in cash. No. You have to make the money first and then give them a discount. It's a lot different from giving someone $1. Like imagine if you had a restaurant and you were like, this product is $1 off. Here's $1. Like, no, you don't give them money. It's just cheaper to buy. You end up with people like that. So there is a happy medium where it's kind of a good thing in some ways that you have to have some clout and some resources or access to resources or a strong enough support base to actually become president. Otherwise, if your ideas aren't good enough, then you shouldn't be president. Now, Bernie Sanders has amassed a massive coalition of grassroots donors, and he deserves tremendous respect for that. Now, I can certainly disagree with him, but I prefer the will of the people over the will of an oligarch. Now, I don't know. Bloomberg got wealthy off the Bloomberg terminal stuff and his financial investments, but he is the 12th richest person in the world, and he's using the power of the media to gain a position in the U.S. government, to try and get the highest position, potentially, arguably, in the whole world. Now, here's the thing. The media has prepped the orange man bad narrative because they like the money it brings in. Priming someone like Bloomberg, who has no real political allegiance, to step in with his authoritarian program, start buying up politicians around the country, imposing his will through cash. And now that the media and the country has been primed with the orange man bad narrative, he steps in and says, I'm gonna finalize this. Instead of just playing the influence game, Bloomberg says, I'll straight up just give you the cash. He's giving Instagram accounts cash to make memes about him. That's pathetic. But they'll do it because money talks. I got to say, man, if you're one of these Instagram accounts and Bloomberg came to you with cash, I don't care how much cash that is. I seriously don't. If he offered you $1 million, I seriously don't care. There is a line. Your business should have some ethics. And this is one of the reasons why I am not a laissez-faire capitalist. I think we should have certain restrictions on how much you can spend in advertisements. One of the big bits, one of the theories as to why Bloomberg is really running is so that he can pour unlimited amounts of money into ads against Donald Trump. I don't think that's the case necessarily, partly. But I think it also has to do with the fact that Wall Street interests are being threatened. Now, I know Wall Street's kind of a nebulous term, but I mean massive corporate and financial interests are threatened by Bernie Sanders. Mike Bloomberg, I don't think really wants to win. I think he wants to step in to shut Bernie Sanders down, and he will spend any amount of money to do so. And that's horrifying. You might not like Bernie Sanders, but I think when you see like Tucker Carlson, when you see other Republicans, even Donald Trump, call out the establishment cheating to push out Bernie, first and foremost, they ask, why would Trump defend Bernie Sanders? Because he's right. Because the DNC, the establishment, the media are trying to keep out Bernie Sanders. And I think there's at least some principle among many people who might disagree with Sanders to recognize he has a right to run, to share his message and be treated fairly. Now, I can call him out and criticize him all day and night. And that's fair too. But in no way am I cheating or dumping hard cash to stop him, or changing the rules to stop him, or whatever this weird shenanigans in Iowa was. But it's going to get bad. Did you see what happened in Nevada in the last cycle? Well, like a bunch of police apparently came up and like blocked the stage. They kept out Bernie's delegates so that Hillary would win the majority. We know they cheat. We know they're cheating. That's the game they play, and everyone should call it out. What I think we're seeing is massive financial interests resisting a populist movement. It's populist left or populist right. Donald Trump is not here to satisfy the whims of global elites. Donald Trump is just making America great again by his definition and by the definition of all of his supporters. The reason I say that is because a lot of people disagree on what would make something great. I think that's fine. But I also think it's important to point out how well the economy is doing, which brings us to the big battle in our country. The Democrats are running on morality, and Trump is running on standard of living, on tangible goods. This is dangerous. I think one of the reasons we're seeing that big switch from, around 9.4 million Obama voters to Trump were people who were not interested in moral authoritarianism. That's what the Republicans used to be. Moral authoritarians, saying this is about the morality, the sanctity of marriage, the family, etc., and all these things. And while they still have many of those values, they've started taking a more liberty-minded approach to these things, opening the door for the first president in U.S. history to support gay marriage before becoming elected. The Democrats voted for somebody, Barack Obama, who actually opposed gay marriage. And in fact, according to email leaks, it's my understanding, I could be wrong, Hillary Clinton apparently still opposes gay marriage. So you have now the Democrats, which Vox has said is becoming the party of the wealthy as of 2016. Bloomberg, who was a Republican mayor, has switched. He went independent. He made that transition. Now he's a Democrat. Now he's going to dump $400 million. Even Tom Steyer, I think, is ridiculous. So, okay, I guess New York Times saying Steyer's still running, so I was wrong about that. But they have put in an obscene amount of money. Now, Ross Perot did as well, but he was independent. And I still have concerns about that. Granted, I would think I was like 4 years old, so I don't have much commentary to say on that. But, will I give Trump criticism for the amount of money he spent? Absolutely. Trump is also a very wealthy individual who spent millions of dollars. But let's be real. Although he's one of the top, it was only 20% of his campaign. He had a lot of donors and he had a lot of grassroots. He had a large grassroots support. And so I can criticize the big spend he's done from his personal cash. But come on. Does it compare to Bloomberg not taking donations? And it's not even about how much he's spending in the election. It's that Bloomberg is overpaying staff. Bloomberg is it's more than just the cash he spends on ads. It's literally everything else. Now, that is included in the $400 million. I'll show you one more tweet, and I'll wrap this up. John Levine of the New York Post, or Levin, I don't know how to pronounce your name, buddy. He says, well, it would hardly make sense to buy the White House and not Congress, too. This is a tweet from Alex Burns of the New York Times, who said, top Democrats say Bloomberg is already their most important donor. His campaign makes plain the financial incentive it is presenting for 2020. Quote, if Mike Bloomberg is the nominee, he will ensure that the Democratic Party has the greatest funding in history. That's right, John. It wouldn't make sense to buy the White House if you don't have the Congress and the House and the Senate. Buy them all up. That's what he's doing. I don't know what I don't know what the progressives are going to say about it. I do know that Bernie has called out Bloomberg, and I respect that tremendously. I think we can set aside our differences and say Bloomberg is not the person who should be president. He has earned nothing with his canned messages and fake memes and basically shutting out all of the competition by overspending on ads. He does not deserve the position he has. I'll wrap this up by saying one thing. As I mentioned earlier, I can recognize he's spending his own money that he earned and all of those things. But we do put limits on some things. We do have laws. It does make sense to say, yes, you can spend your own money to buy ads, but there are laws limiting how much money you can spend on a lot of things. There's laws that say you literally can't buy certain things. So what's wrong with having a law saying you cannot do what Bloomberg is doing? Unless you guys want to live in oligarchy. But let me remind you, if you want to look at what oligarchy is going to be like, look no further than San Francisco. I'm not joking. That's what you will get when people like Bloomberg take over. He is an authoritarian racist who has said they should tax the poor. Why Democrats would get behind that? Perhaps they just don't know. But this dude is the scariest thing I've seen coming in this election. If he brings Hillary Clinton with him, wow. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. YouTube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel. I will see you all there.